the first question here, this is factorization. You can call it factorization revision. Let's start with binomial factorization. So let's suppose I got question 1. 14x minus 22, factorize that. Question 2. 44 plus 20j plus 48p. I'm try and make each question is different from the previous one completely. Right, so this one, next one is 2d squared plus 7d. Question 4, 25y squared minus 5yz plus 15yz squared. Question 5. 12x minus 16x squared. And question 6. Or now let's make 3a plus ab. Try and factorize this as far as possible. Plus 5w plus 4wy. Okay. Factorizing revision. Let's call this one level 1. Okay. So we're going to pick up the pace, pick up the level after each case. Grab a pen and paper, try it. On the next round, we'll move into difference of squares as well as trinomial factorization. Let's start with the basics for now. Okay. When you're done, just start done. Or when you've tried it and you're ready, just type ready. Okay, I'm gonna give it a go now, right? And then we're gonna move on to some more difficult stuff as well. Okay. All right. So in this first part here, right, I can take out a common factor of 2, let's say. If I take out 2 from here, I'm going to be left with 7x minus 11. All right. The next one, I can divide this by 2. Let's say I did that. I can get this into 22, 10, and 24, right? But if I divide it by 4, and this will become 4, and I'll be left with 11 plus 5j plus 12p. So here we're just taking out a single factor. So this is just level 1, right? The next part, if I take out d, I'm going to be left with 2d plus 7. The next one, I take out a common 5. And I can also divide each of these terms not only just by 5 as the highest common factor, but I can also divide them by y, but I can't divide them by z. So 5y is the best I got. And dividing this over here, remember I'll be left with 5y. 5 cancels, z is left over here. 5 goes into 15 3 times, y cancels out, and also 3z squared plus 3z squared. 12x minus 16x squared. Over here, I can take out a common factor divided both by 4 and x. And therefore, I'll be left with 4x on the outside, and that goes into there 3 times, minus 16x squared over 4x, which will get you 4, and then x over there. All right, next. In this question here, this sounds a little bit more trickier. We got nothing that's common between the two, in terms of coefficients between the 4 terms, but I can put a bracket around the first 2 and a bracket around the second 2. And when this is going to be a common a, I can take out from the first bracket, leaving me with 3 plus b on the inside. And I can take out a common w from this second bracket, leaving me with 5 plus 4y. Okay. And those are my answers over there. Okay. Let's move on to level 2 now. Give it a quick mark if you need to, and then let's move on to level 2. Okay, there we go. So we stopped at question number 6, so let's move on to question number 7. Again, remember, what are we doing? We are factorizing. Factorize the next one. The next one has the following: BC minus BD minus C plus D. Question 8. C squared minus 81. Question 9. X squared y squared minus 900. Question 10. (25) minus D squared. Question 11. X squared plus 5x plus 6. Question 12. W squared minus 32W plus 240. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go, guys. So the first question here, we've got grouping. All right, so we're going to be factorizing using grouping. I am going to put brackets around the first two terms, but when I put brackets around the second two terms, I have to put a minus in there because that would keep it exactly the same. In the first instance, I can take out B and I'll be left with C minus D. In the second instance, I will just be left with C minus D, and gladly I have a common bracket, so I would divide both sides by C minus D. That means I can take C minus D out as a common factor. And that's going to be left with B minus 1. Alright, next. I got C squared minus 81. Alright, and I am going to factorize this. This is a difference of squares. Now, the concept of difference of squares is built on the following formula. If you have x squared minus y squared and you factorize it, a quick way to remember, rewrite them without the squares and just put plus and minus. The plus and minus allows the middle term to be eliminated when you find the product of them. So you end up with x squared plus xy minus xy, and then the middle term cancels out, leaving you with the original question. So square root each term, write it twice, and then put plus minus. Now next, I put C over here, and C over here, and 9 over here, and 9 over here. I'm going to put minus over here, and plus over here on the other side. In that way, 9C minus 9C will cancel out completely. Next, I've got xy, square root of that, and then the square root of 900 is 30. So let's put 30 and 30, plus minus, and I'm done. The next one is also difference of squares. We square root to 25, that becomes 5, and 5. We square root to d squared, it becomes d, and d. Then we put plus and minus, and we're done. Alright, and those are all difference of squares. Question 8, question 9, and question 10. This takes us on to a bit of trinomial factorization on this. In this first part here, what I need to do is open up the brackets and remember that the first term is pretty easy. It's just simply x times x. To get the signs for this question, both signs will be plus because everything is plus. And to get the last term, I need to find the factors of 6, which can be 6 times 1, or it can also be 3 times 2. But because it's plus and plus, I have to add these two numbers to get the middle term 5. So this will add to 7, and this will add to 5. So this is the one I want. So 3 and 2, and I'm done. All right, the next question. Exactly the same principle, but this time I have a minus involved, which means there's going to be a plus and a minus or something else, right? So if I got a plus at the end, it means that both the terms have to have a minus, because minus times a minus gets me a plus at the end. And then w times w will get me w squared. Minus times minus gets me plus, and w times w gets me w squared. Because now all I need to do is get these two terms, which was multiplied to get 240, but minus to get 32. We got two minuses involved in here. All right. So we look at 240 and we try and find a few numbers which can multiply. Let's go with 24 times 10. 24 plus 10 would be 34 at max. If we subtract it, 14 at minimum. All right, now I need to get to 32 somehow. So maybe 12 will work. 12 times 20. So what did I do? I halved this and I doubled it. 12 times 20 is going to become 240. And if I add it, it'll become 32, and I think I should check both there. And if I subtract them from each other, the minimum I can go is 8. Definitely need 12, and I definitely need 20 there. The outer two terms will become minus 20w, and the inner two terms minus 12w, which means together will end up at minus 32w. All right, and that's the final term. Okay. Get ready for the next level, level 3 now. We stopped at question number 12, so we're going to now move on to question number 13. Question number 13, if I've got 100 x squared y squared minus 81 t squared v squared, what would that factorize to? Question 14, I got 12x squared minus 35x plus 25. Let's try these two questions at a time. So the first question over here, what we got is a difference of squares. And if I open up the bracket, remember we're going to square root each term. So this is going to be square root of 100 is 10. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of y squared is y. And then 10xy again. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of t squared is t. Square root of v squared is v. And on this side here, 9tv again. Don't forget, once you have that, put a plus and a minus in that. The next question, what we have here is two factors that we need to find when we're factorizing this. We need to find factors of 12, like 3 times 4, or 6 times 2, or 1 times 12, and 25, which we know would be 1 times 25, and 5 times 5. And when we put this inside a bracket, we got it selected very carefully. We know that the first term is going to be something x and something x, because when they multiply, it'll become x squared. Those two somethings will come from this side, like 6 times 2 is 12 squared. Or it could be 3 times 4 gets me 12 squared. Or it could be 1 times 12 gets me 12 squared. And then the next, or the last two terms, these two terms over here, should get me 25. Like 5 times 25. And they have to be like minus and minus to get a plus. especially if the middle term is a negative. They both have to be minus and minus. Because when you subtract a minus from a minus, you get a bigger minus as the middle term. And when you multiply minus and minus, you get a positive. It will definitely not be plus and plus, because that implies that the middle term is positive. So 5 and 25, 5 and 5, not 25, 1 and 25, because that's multiplied to become 25. So we have to choose a combination of these factors and these factors so that the middle term subtracts into negative 35. I like to use a method where you start using trial and error sometimes, and also another method where I use this cross arrangement and cross multiply them. So I'm going to start with the trial and error method. Okay, so method number one, I'm going to jump in, but intelligently I'm going to guess because the middle term is 35, it's not too extreme. So like if I take 25 for example on this side, and I multiply it by 12, that's going to be the biggest number I can make, which is really big, too far from negative 35 or 35. If I take the smallest number here, it would be 1 and 1. All right, so definitely I'm going to just ignore these two. Okay, I'm going to start with 3 and 4, 5 and 5, and then I'm going to try 6 and 2, 5 and 5. And also keep in mind, I'm going to have an open mind about swapping them around. So I've got 3x, right, and 4x over here. So 3x times 4x would get me 12x squared. Right? That's how we're choosing this particular part. And then I got 5 and 5 on this side, so I'm going to put 5 over here, and 5 over here. And I need to test it. They both have to be minus, so I'm going to test the middle term. Test the middle term, I multiply the outer and the inner two terms, and I add them up to see if they become negative 35. This is negative 15, this is negative 20, and so yes, it does add up, which means that because the numbers are not extreme, 1 and 12, 1 and 25, they're most likely to get a number that's not extreme as well in the middle. So this is my final answer, because negative 20 minus 15 is negative 35. That's what the middle terms would add up.